And here we go. Tuesday, December 28th, 2021. This is The Bottom Line. I'm your host, Nick Leach, filling in for Ryan Armani. To my right, I have my boy Easy, filling in for the Braylon Edwards. Easy, how's this Tuesday going for you?
Eventful. It's been an eventful Tuesday. But we're here, baby. That's all that matters. I'm happy to be here. Filling on, I'd say this is part of our flagship show on the network. This is The Bottom Line.
Yeah, this one is definitely a lot of people tune into. I mean, Ryan's been in TV for a very long time. Braylon Edwards,
he's a legend at the University of Michigan.
I feel like he's becoming like a legend around here now too. Like
Yes.
You see him at more events now that we go out and do pregame shows and postgame shows, and he's definitely, I feel like, more active in Detroit now, which has been way more fun, I think, for anybody that sees him out.
Yeah.
He's still a name that will forever be synonymous with Michigan football and all the great things he did. For me, he was one of the first ever great receivers that I remember just in football in general. Like I said yesterday, I was born in '93, so by the time he got to Michigan, was playing in 2001. That was like you're able to kind of start remembering some of the great things that he did.
No, he's literally the greatest receiver in the University of Michigan, history. And that's a blue chip university. I'm saying that's Michigan's, I think, top 5 in popularity when it comes to colleges. So he's a legend, dude.
Yeah, and he's an awesome guy. That's what I mean. I can't tell enough people out there that he is honestly one of the nicest people that you'll meet. And Ryan too.
Yes.
Ryan's the ultimate hype man. Come in clapping up the show, and those guys will be back next week. They just got a little bit of break as we're kind of going through the holidays. But Easy, I can't believe we're getting to the end of 2021. I feel like this year has flown by.
It has flown by, and it's starting to get a little sad just realizing only 2 more weeks left of football here.
Yeah, and
Lions football, I should say.
Lions football.
Football goes on, yeah. But Detroit Lions football. Yeah, a little bit earlier.
But we didn't really do yesterday what I was hoping to do is kind of give an introduction of us and who we are. We don't make it onto these live shows all that often, and we're coming into our first full year here at Woodward Sports. So kind of give everyone a background of yourself, what sports maybe you did growing up, and what your big role here is at WSN now.
Shoot, man. So my name's Easy. I started podcasting in my basement during quarantine, and really just going hard. There was nothing. I quit everything else other than that because I was just put in a spot. Within quarantine, I was the world was kind of crumbling around us with everyone was freaking out. You could easily convince at that time that someone that a zombie apocalypse was coming at that time. That's how chaotic the world was. So I kind of just put life in perspective and just started pursuing things that I truly wanted to do. And talking sports and podcasting was one of them. And through the people I've been able to connect with, like Lover Quinn, that we're going to have on tomorrow, and I mean, even speaking of Braylon and Ryan, you truly find out that when you make your mindset that amazing things can happen. And obviously I'm here now, working mainly on our YouTube channel, helping you out with socials whenever I can, and we're killing it, man. We're growing. We're at Woodward Sports, and I couldn't be more happy.
Yeah, it's crazy to kind of see the growth of even both of us within this last year. I mean, again, I kind of did something similar. I started my own podcast. I had my own sports blog that I ran with a couple buddies. And when COVID happened and shut down, I was working as an assistant golf pro. So everybody, especially in the customer service industry, got laid off. I got laid off for quite a bit, but I didn't just sit around and do nothing. So I learned Photoshop really well. And I always, for whatever reason, had a fascination with, jersey swaps and whatnot. So the way that Woodward found me is I did a jersey swap that I produced and put out through my social media, and Stick actually saw it and then kind of ripped it.
He stole it.
He ripped it. Stick stole it, and he'll admit to that, but he said it's one of the greatest things that he's ever done, as it brought me to this network, and that for me, it's you never really realize how a little situation like that's gonna kind of change your life forever. And I mean, I thank God every day I kind of took the chance, to start my own podcast and do something that I love in sports. It's led me here, and as I'm the head of social media now for Woodward Sports, so I know I interact actually with a lot of the people that are in the chat, in the Twitter comments, in the Facebook comments, all over the place. So it's been a lot of fun just to watch the network grow and see how far we've come so far.
No, honestly, and I'm happy you're here too, because you're part of the the new change culture here, as well as with Braylon and Ryan, like everyone coming in together. Sam's here now too, Flannel Sam, another podcaster himself. And our boy Alex in the TD booth as well, doing the Michigan State update. And you're actually going on the road for the Peach Bowl, Alex. You pumped up?
Yeah, apparently I'm going on vacation to the Peach Bowl to cover the game for the network. But yeah, I'll be heading out tomorrow morning, driving 11 hours all the way to Atlanta by myself. But it's worth it. I can't wait. It's going to be a hell of an experience, and I got a good feeling about Michigan State in this game. I've been studying the Pitt Panthers. They're really going to be missing Kenny Pickett in this game. But just to say that I'll be in attendance is. It's really special. Yeah,
I think anyone looks at it from the standpoint that if you get to go down south, like during the winter months in Michigan, it's vacation. I don't care what you're doing down there. It's vacation.
Yeah, and by the way, like you're watching the Peach Bowl for work. Like that's a vacation. That's not even work. That's something you do if you weren't working. That's vacation.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at our YouTube chat right now as people are starting to filter in, and Guy Case says, Nick looks like he's in high school. And I got multiple comments like that yesterday on our social media, too. I had people say, like, well, like this looks like a high school show that, like, someone's doing. I was like, for one, I'm 28 years old. Like, that's... and I, like, even when I go out and buy alcohol, especially some gypsy vodka, like, I always get carded anytime that happens. And I was like, when do I hit a point where I actually start to look my age? I don't think it's going to happen until maybe I'm, like, 50 or 60 years old.
You say sir when you speak to me, young man.
No, but I mean, it's funny to see. It's I will take that credit. I mean, especially as I get older. Like if I hit 40 and people are like, "Hey, you still look like you're 25," like sign me up. I'm completely okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get carded. I have no hair, so yeah, there's that. Yeah. I'd take that all day.
Yeah, that's a tough look for you. So
part of the reason I lost my hair is last night's Monday Night Football game. Man, I had to fill in a Woodward bet show, and me and Scott. Yeah, as you know, Scott's like one of the best bettors around. Him and Prince, and like I was all pumped up for this one. He had me sold on Alvin Kamara going crazy on all these rushing props. And honestly, I figured it would happen because they were starting Ian Brook at quarterback. Not the case.
No, not the case. And I actually had a bad story with myself in this. I was in the semifinals of a fantasy football league with some of my closest friends in the league that I've been in the longest. And it was 115 to 115, and I had the Saints defense going, and he had Miami's defense going, and my boy Zach, the Ian Book pick six to pretty much start that football game. I am the biggest Ian Book hater in the entire world right now. Like that absolutely ruined my night last night, and I almost turned off the game right then and there, but as a fantasy football lover, you're hoping that, they could do the same thing in return, but that wasn't the case for me. They ended up putting, Miami's defense put up 30 points.
Bro, Ian Book was getting destroyed last night. I don't know if you, how long till you turned it off, but he was getting... I probably should look up the numbers. The sacks that he was getting.
They had 8 sacks last night. Miami's defense,
and they weren't just regular sacks where they just tackle quarterback. This dude was getting body slammed like it was a judo tournament or something like that. It was nasty.
Yeah, and Alex just threw that graphic up on the screen now too. Is Notre Dame QBs have now lost 24 straight starts in the NFL. 15 of them are by Deshaun Kaiser when he was in Cleveland, but for a college like Notre Dame, you see a stat like that, you've got to kind of throw up a little bit in your mouth. That is not a stat you want to be associated with.
I mean, it is what it is, though, because ultimately they still succeed at somewhat the collegiate level. Because you look at Ohio State, too, they have a similar track record when it comes to quarterbacks. However, they're the Ohio State, and they're kicking butt.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. And a lot of that, you bring up the sacks, and a lot of that had to do with the Saints missing both their tackles. I think Ryan Ramczyk was out kind of last minute. So I think they said on the broadcast there was their 7th or 8th string tackles in that game. So that was kind of going to be the
I didn't
case.
know that. I didn't know that because I'm on the Woodward Bet Show and I'm saying Alvin Kamara 60 yards, that's easy. Yeah. Put it down. 59.5, do it.
Yeah, he didn't have both his tackles, so it wasn't the easiest thing in the world.
It was not the easiest thing. However, I did clean up on a NBA prop.
Yeah, there you go. At least you made that up. But
I did make up for it.
Another name not another name, but the team of the Miami Dolphins. Now, this is a story in itself. They are the first team in the NFL to ever go on a 7-game losing streak, to follow that up with a 7-game winning streak. They were 1-7 to start the year, and then now they are 8-7, and they control their own destiny to get in a playoff spot.
I've been a big proponent of Miami, what they got going on over there. So the amount of draft picks they have, and another thing to tie this to Detroit a little bit. Tua is a guy a lot of Detroiters wanted here as the quarterback, and I was never a fan of him either. He still doesn't look the greatest, but like you gotta commend that. That's actually brilliant. And like you said, it's the first team to ever do it. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the defense as well for Miami. I believe they lead the league now in sacks, so that's been a huge blessing for them. But
8 sacks, one game would do it for you.
Yeah, no kidding. But it's the emergence of Tua and Jalen Waddle. A lot of people were talking in the draft of Devontae Smith was a Heisman winner. Jalen Waddle, his teammate at Alabama, and Jalen Waddle has been putting on a clinic. There's only one person that's ahead of him now for the most receptions in the rookie season, and that guy is Anquan Boldin.
Yeah. That's funny enough because I was actually just looking at that stat when I was looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown's just to kind of see where he's at. I think Amon-Ra is like 65, but he only started I think 8 or 7 games at this point, which I'm kind of curious. If St. Brown would have started from the beginning of the season, what his numbers would have been, but. Obviously, he's not as good as Jalen Waddle because Jalen Waddle, has started on their team since the beginning, and their team was, fortunate enough not to have injuries be the case for their rookie starting. He's just great. I'm kind of curious though when it comes to a lot of these passing records. Like we talked about it yesterday a little bit with Matthew Stafford surpassing the 50,000, the fastest to it. Like the league's kind of changed versus like what it used to be. Even when Anquan Boldin was playing, it's a lot more pass happy. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot harder to defend these guys. You can't really touch these receivers anymore.
Yeah, and I know the knock on Tua too was, he does a lot of screen passes, a lot of 2-yard dink and dunks, and against a pretty good New Orleans defense, like you saw them line up for the flea flicker and throw it downfield. Like he had passes down the field last night that I thought were pretty impressive, and you can tell he's starting to gain some confidence.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not like if the Lions got a Tua, I would be happy with it because one, you have a quarterback on a rookie contract that allows you to afford, I guess, a veteran leadership on the defensive end. So I think they have a little bit of that in Miami. I will say this though, to the performance last night, New Orleans was also missing their safety Jenkins, the linebacker. He's a stud. He used to play for Tampa Bay. I can't think of his name right now. Quan Alexander, and they're missing another linebacker too. They're missing a couple guys last night due to COVID. Obviously, the tackle situation as well. But no, I mean. A lot of people, banged on Tua because he's a dink and dunk guy. But if you have him for like $5 million on your roster, like I'll take that. We have Jared Goff as a dink and dunk guy. We're paying him $27 million. So like, I guess I can't hate it. Do you think the Lions made a mistake passing up on Tua? Do you think they should have took him? Looking back at it,
I mean, looking back at it, it's easy to say now because of what happens with Jeff Okudah. But Tua was getting knocked around earlier this year too, and was hurt, and that was the knock on him coming out of college. So I would have liked to see the odds on what the playoff chances for Miami was when they were 1-7.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure my bookie would have been a great place to put a bet down on there. So you can head over to mybookie.ag. And they'll match up to 50% of your first deposits. You could have made some money like our boy Easy did last night, betting some NFL football or some NBA basketball, even though his NFL football props didn't work out quite as well. But there's the Alabama-Michigan game this weekend, or Alabama-Cincinnati game. Alabama's favored by 14 currently on their sports book. So go over there, check them out, place the money, and you're getting your deposits match up to 50%. So how could you argue with something like that? They're handing out free money, and you can use it essentially risk-free if you really want to do that. So use promo code Woodward when you're making those deposits, and you'll get, like I said, all the free money. So that's mybookie.ag.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
And we are back here on the bottom line. I am Nick Leach, filling in for Ryan Armani. To my right, my man Easy.
What up, though?
Of the Speak Easy podcast, filling in for Braylon Edwards. We've got Sam in Fish's booth. We've got Alex in his station, making it all happen behind the scenes.
Do we need a name for these stations? Like boring. Like, what do you want your station to be called, Alex? Is there a cooler name?
My layer.
Your layer?
Alex's
Yeah.
layer. Or we call it like Alex's woodshed, since you're a big Michigan State
there
guy.
you go. Woodshed.
Yeah,
There
the
you go.
deep end.
Ooh, the deep end. I like
Yeah.
that.
There you go. And that's Fish's booth, man. I'm sorry, Sam. That's
Yeah,
forever
that's
going to
the
be
Fish
Fish's
Bowl.
booth. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no claim to that.
That's like when like Coach K got the court and at Duke already named after him. That's what happened here with Fish's booth. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's the Fish Bowl from here on out. There's no one can do anything to change that. So.
It's the exact same thing. You know, Coach K's court, the fishbowl. It's the exact same.
yeah, both Hall of Famers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Facts. Facts.
but
way older than they look,
Yeah.
too.
Before we went to the break, we were talking a little bit Monday Night Football and kind of set up the rest of the show for you guys. We're going to touch on some Lions football here in just a minute. We're going to go into their 2020 schedule that came out, or at least their opponents that they're going to get. And then we'll do some around the NFL about coaching vacancies. And then a little bit later in the show, we're going to do a little segment for like our, I guess you could call it Detroit Sports Awards. So that's something I'm looking forward to as we're kind of winding down the 2021 year. So that'll be coming on later in the show. But talking about the Lions again, I know we touched on them a bit yesterday. They lost 20-16 to the Atlanta Falcons. And a little bit of, I don't know if, would you consider that loss yesterday a heartbreaking loss?
No, not really. Like, if there was like any type of like ramifications for, like, if we were in the hunt for the playoffs, maybe it could have been a heartbreaking loss. It sucks that it happened that way. I mean, it is, like, for the team, I'm sure it's heartbreaking and gut-wrenching, especially Tim Boyle. Would have been his first career win. But for me, no. We're a 2-win team. I'm saying, what's another loss at this point, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are thinking from that standpoint as well, too, is like, and I was kind of going back and forth with people on social media. It's like, you know, they want that top 2 draft pick. They want the Lions to lose. So that didn't bother them at all. I think maybe it was definitely a heartbreak loss for Tim Boyle.
Yeah.
The Lions already kind of got their couple big wins on the year, you could say. Their last second win over Minnesota and then beating the crap out of Arizona was some highlights for them, at least this year. I don't know if another win is necessarily going to do that for them. They already beat a team with a huge winning record and then had a thriller of a first win. So I don't see this as a heartbreak loss either.
Yeah, no.
I see it as another game that you competed in and you saw your defense and offense at least keep you in a game against a 7-8 football team.
That's the other part of it, too, that can't be a heartbreaking loss, is because, like, I don't think anyone expected that. I mean, I kind of did, just because Atlanta, like we spoke on a little bit yesterday, no one really thought highly of Atlanta, but we saw some positives out of things that were supposed to be negatives. Like, when you have that many backups starting, that's supposed to be a negative. When the game's that close and it comes down to the last play, you know, that's a positive, because you didn't expect that.
Yeah, you even look back to the Monday night game we just talked about. You know, they had a backup quarterback, and that was more of their 4th-string with Ian Book starting the game, couple defensive guys out. And
that's a Super Bowl winning coach in Sean Payton, too.
Yeah, and they kind of got whooped up on by Miami. They didn't really have an answer on offense. I mean, you had Kamara. I get, like, again, a lot of people were out. I'm not sitting there trying to bash them, but, like, the Lions hung in there, and they've had a lot of injuries like every other team this year. They've had people go out with COVID. So that just shows you, I mean, they're at least being able, like, for me, that shows that the coaching staff can at least draw up a game plan for the players that are in place. And I get that's your job to do, but executing it is a different story.
Absolutely. And again, it speaks to the coaching. You have to play with what you have.
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
only play the cards that you have in your hand.
Yeah, I agree to that 100%. So something I kind of want to do with you, Easy, obviously we don't get to do the show too much.
Yeah.
Is something that I know you really enjoy doing, and that's giving out player grades. I don't know why you're laughing.
Well,
But
because Monday I want to do the grades. And last week Nick was like, "What's up with you and grades? You always want to do grades every time we do a show." I'm like, "Dude, people love them." And then I look at the prep today, and what do we have? The sheet.
we got like offensive line skill position grades. Like I want to throw you a curveball. I want to keep you on the edge of your seat, and I feel like I did that at least.
You and the mortgage company I was on the phone with earlier all day did that for me.
Easy's getting caught with left and right hooks all day today. So at least I'm glad that made you laugh after the stress you've been under for most of the day.
For sure.
Again, we don't get to do these shows all that often. I know the Lions still have 2 games left in the season, but I kind of want to run through like the offensive groups, you know, skill positions, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, and cornerbacks. I don't want to give like any individual players grades.
Okay.
I feel like we've done enough of that. We've talked about the players enough individually. But looking at this roster for 2021 and what you had for expectations, Where would you rank this offensive line and what you've seen out of them? And remember, they have been riddled with quite a few injuries this year.
Yes, like am I grading them throughout the season, or am I grading them in the Falcons game?
Graded throughout the season.
Throughout the season?
Yep,
A+.
Ooh,
Yeah.
really?
A+.
So that's a bold. I
give him an A. No, I give him an A though, because like you got to think about it too. Like the Pro Bowl caliber of player that we lost in Frank Ragnow, and for Evan Brown to step up and replace him, and like, I don't want to say seamlessly because I don't study the all 22 like everyone else, but the offensive line at least. But like, I haven't really noticed the absence of him. I mean, have you? I mean, am I talking crazy? Like,
well, so a little bit, and this is the only reason why. So
okay.
Obviously, I started doing a little research on this last night, and the Detroit Lions allow the 12th most sacks in the entire NFL.
Okay.
So that kind of stood out as a little bit as a sore thumb for me. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that came earlier in the season when Ragnow was playing, and you had Sewell at left tackle, and Decker was out. So for me, I'm giving this unit a C+, and that's truly just based off the injuries and having guys back, like all the backups come in and play.
Yeah, I guess I can knock down to a B. You consider who was the right tackle that was in there for a minute? I can't think of his name. Matt Nelson.
Yep, Matt Nelson.
Matt Nelson came in. It's tough because like I guess they're ultimately a unit. Yeah, I give them a B.
Yeah, that's I was kind of thinking that same thing.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know rank 12. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, when I first started kind of looking at this, I was like, dang, I actually didn't realize it's kind of uglier than what we've kind of made it seem. That we've talked about and I think it's more from the standpoint of the running game.
Fudge.
The rushing offense has been a lot better this year with DeAndre Swift. We've seen guys like Craig Reynolds step up and have 100-yard plus games. Mm-hmm. So it's been good from that standpoint, but there's definitely, I think it'll change too once you get some of those guys that are hurt back playing in this lineup full time.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a little alarming to kind of see that stat stick out to me.
I will say this to defend them in a little bit in defense of the offensive line. Jared Goff, and shout out to my man Morgan Cannon over at One Pride Sideline Report or I always mess up his publication. I apologize. But Morgan Cannon, look him up on Twitter. He's a writer for the One Pride, and he studies the offensive line a lot. And Jared Goff's dropbacks, they're like a lot of times often too deep. Like I don't know if you guys remember, but in the Pittsburgh game in overtime, where he literally like turned around and ran into the defensive lineman, like he does a lot of that stuff. In the beginning of the year, he made a lot of bonehead mistakes, and I'm just want to defend the offensive line a little bit.
Yeah,
because I gave him an A. I look like an idiot.
Yeah. No, it's all good, and I mean that's why you have sports, and that's why you talk about it, right? So
yeah,
like I said, I was kind of on the same wavelength as you. I was like, they've been pretty good. I mean, they've kept the Lions in games, kept them competitive. Not really any too big major sacks that you're like, well, it just cost you the game, or a big holding or anything like that. So I'm going with C+ for them. The next spot I want to talk about is, we're not going to do quarterback here. We're not going to talk about that. We've done enough Jared Goff talk for the entire year. But I want to talk about the skill positions for the Lions, because I'm still a little ungraded here, because I feel like we've seen two scripts. We've seen it really ugly in the beginning of the year when you had guys like Perriman here, Tyrell Williams, that we thought were going to be key pieces of this offense.
Yeah.
Now they're gone.
Yep.
And now in the back half of the season, you have Josh Reynolds here. Amon-Ra St. Brown has stepped up. If you were to give a grade to the skill positions, where would you rank that at?
It's really tough, man. If I'm being as honest as you were with the offensive line, I guess you have to land somewhere around a B- C. Cephas stepped up at times at the beginning of the year and looked, I guess, way better than I ever planned on him being or expected him to be. Ultimately, he got injured, and for the other guys filling in, it wasn't great to begin with. Amon-Ra's really come in too, but probably say B-.
Okay, and I want to get the chat with the YouTube chat in here as well too, and get them talking about that. We got to go to a quick break, real quick, but start throwing in some of your grades for what we talked about, and we'll talk about it when we get back from break. But easy.
Rashad Perriman?
Yeah, Rashad Perriman. What's he doing nowadays?
Oh, he's actually a heating and cooling expert. Thanks to northwesterntech.edu. You guys want to start a new career in the HVAC? Just find a school that works for you. northwesterntech.edu.
Hi, I'm Kay Cunningham. I'm proud to partner with Hall Financial, the mortgage company known for 5-star service. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their 5,000 5-star reviews for yourself. Go to callhallfirst.com and get started with your 5-star experience today.
Monday through Friday for Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network with Stanley Cup champ Darren McCarty, former Lion Joik Bell, and the silky voice of Neil Rule.
And we are back. The bottom line here on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Nick Leach, filling in for Ryan Armani. My man Easy is filling in for Braylon Edwards.
What up, though?
Before we went to break, we were sitting talking about the grades for the offensive line, for the skill positions, and Easy was floating around with a B- to C+ for the skilled positions. And see some grades in the chat. Mackie Daniel is in there. Said you can fail your first few assignments and exams and still squeak out a C+. And I think if you look at it from that standpoint, that's kind of a good way to look at it. That's kind of where I've been with this team. It was brutal. The only highlight you really had was DeAndre Swift. Hawkinson wasn't really seeing the ball that much, so you can't really grade him for a lack of targets. But it's really made a leap, at least. It gives you some promise heading into next season. So I'm right at that. I'm right kind of at that C mark. And a lot of people are saying the same thing, too. Not too many bright spots. Steve-O's saying B- for the O-line. So
Steve-O,
they're kind of right on pack with what I was thinking as well. But it has been, honestly, if it hasn't been the emergence of Amon-Ra St. Brown, even Cephas earlier in the year, and then even what Josh Reynolds has brought to the table as a waiver pickup.
Swift was doing his thing too. Don't forget, from total yards yards from line of scrimmage, like Swift was, I think, ranked number 1 for a couple weeks in a row up to the injury.
Right, yeah, so that was like one of the few things to kind of talk about. So moving right along, so we got our offensive line, which you gave them an A to start and then bumped it down to a B.
Yeah.
After you realized they cheated on a test. Skill positions, you gave them kind of a B-, C+.
B-. Yeah, to say B-.
I gave them a C+ or a C right on the dot. Defensive line.
Yes.
How would you rank that?
Ooh, this one's actually really tough for me. On the season defensive line, it's so tough to rank these units because, like, the bright spots they were supposed to have been missing due to injury. Ultimately, I guess I'd have to say C+. I didn't really get to do my homework on the rankings in terms of sacks and whatnot. Did you do that by chance?
I did.
Okay.
And so my ranking comes in at a D+ for them. And I get the defense it's kind of been a spot we've talked about that's been very, very good, right? And keeping you in football games. But the lack of sacks, the QB pressures have been up this year, but this team still ranks 30th in the NFL in sacks.
Yeah.
So, and that's a number that has to improve. That's a number. I just talked about the Miami Dolphins and what they've done to turn around their seasons. They're now they lead the NFL with sacks, and now they control their destiny for a playoff spot. So. As much as the defense has been a highlight, I still give it a D+ just because you need more production. That's what those guys are up front to do, is to get to the QB, put him on his butt, and change the momentum of some of these football games for you.
No, absolutely. And like I said, I'd probably C-, honestly. A little bit of Homer rose-colored goggles for me on that grade, but C- ultimately. They rank 30th. That's not good. Yeah,
that's essentially that's what you're like I said, defensive line. You're there to stop the run, and you're there to get to the QB. And I get the pressures there a little bit, but
yeah, that's actually one thing too. I kind of have been disappointed in with the defensive line was Aleem McNeil. Granted, it is his rookie year, but the sell on him when he got drafted was he's supposed to be a run stuffing defensive tackle, and I haven't really seen much of that all year. We kind of we're obviously not terrible. We've been in games, but we haven't really stopped the run. And I look back to that Eagles game. They literally had every single running back on their roster just going crazy. From Boston Scott. I mean, I was a fool. That was fool's gold for me. I ended up picking him up in fantasy. Just from never do another thing again. Like, that one hurt even more. That was double injury.
Yeah, and you see that as evidence now, too. It's like, okay, those first 2 draft picks in the 22 NFL draft look a lot more appetizing for this team with Thibodeau and Hutchinson there. So
yeah,
that's something they can certainly help out with and definitely make a mark on the defense. So the last part, actually, I think Alex had a graphic for us that I want to throw him up to, is not to knock the defense too much about getting sacks, but Aleem McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike, and Derek Barnes are the first NFL rookies for the Lions to record a sack this season, which I thought was pretty cool. We talked about the rookies yesterday's show and how they've contributed, and they've all at least had a sack this year, which I think from previous years you would take that.
Yeah, it's tough for me to evaluate because I don't know where to find the in between us being thin as a roster and having to start some of these rookies and them actually starting and producing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it's due to our lack of talent that they're like seeing the field, or that their talent, they deserve to be on the field. But again, being a Lions fan, I'm just going to say that these guys deserve it, and because we have been in games. We haven't been getting blown out every single game. It wasn't an Ian's Brooks, types of games all season. So ultimately, yeah, they kind of deserve to be on there. I'd seen someone in the chat comment that, hey, maybe we need to draft some interior defensive linemen, which sucks because we did that last year, back to back, in fact, and we haven't seen what I guess we expected of them. But it's a rookie year. It's not a great team, and like, maybe they're coming too,
Yeah, and I think the Lions only recorded 25 sacks on the season, which, I mean, there's 3 of them right now by rookies. So you got to like that. I know Derek Barnes has a couple more on top of that. The next group I want to talk about, and Alex has the graphic up on the screen, is the cornerbacks and linebackers for the Lions. And the spot that really stands out is the rookie cornerbacks with A.J. Parker and Jerry Jacobs. What a find for those guys, undrafted rookies. Prior to the season, no undrafted rookie player has ever posted at least 5 pass deflections for the Lions since at least 1999. So that's a stat that, I mean, you have to give a tip of the cap to Brad Holmes and finding these guys after the draft was done and over with.
Yeah, shout out to Brad Holmes and everyone he has in his front office. I know he has other scouts that work with him and whatnot, and like their eye for defensive talent. You gotta give it to them and clap in their hands completely. Honestly, offensively too. Craig Reynolds, we just had on the BDE today. They're doing it. Other than Trinity Benson, that was the only. But we're not talking about that. Yeah. But no, honestly, I got hype over this yesterday talking about Jerry Jacobs because he is undrafted. AJ Parker, same situation. These guys are starting rough situations and they're not the greatest like defense, and they're still providing. It's truly inspirational as a fan of a franchise. It's sucked for pretty much my whole life.
Yeah, and Forever Trick says in the YouTube chat, it's crazy to think every rookie this year has contributed, drafted or unrestricted free agents. Like,
yeah, and that's the thing too, is like is there a in between, like us having to start these guys and these stats just be coming up because we have to start them, versus like these guys actually contributing? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like, if Jeff Okudah doesn't go down, what type of season does he have? Is Melifonwu playing as much as he is? If you have Okudah on one side and Oruwariye on the opposite side, I think A.J. Parker maybe still fills in that nickel cornerback position a little bit. But it's hard to tell. But at least when they got their opportunity, they are producing. So
yeah.
What would ultimately, if you had to grade the linebackers and the cornerbacks, what would you give them?
Sheesh. Oh man. I have to go C minus.
Okay, so this was the one group I actually had as a B plus in my group.
Okay.
Just giving all the injuries. You saw the stat there on the screen, and seeing the way these guys have stepped up this year. I mean, who would have thought in a million years we'd have a guy like Jerry Jacobs become a team favorite? Like before he got hurt, like that was a guy that we were starting to get all hype about and get excited about, and people were saying like, wow, you're making this happen with an undrafted free agent. You took Jeff Okudah number 3 overall. Like, that shows you that just because you're taking high in the draft doesn't mean you're not going to have an opportunity in this league.
No, absolutely. Kudos to Dan Campbell and his staff, honestly. Everyone they've had filled in, like you said, has produced, and I have to kind of lean towards the sides of like, these guys actually have some quality talent there as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And like we said, they've held us in games time and time again. You talked about it yesterday with Melifonwu when he was going up against Devontae Adams. Really only had the one big play he allowed against him, and they got hurt. So it's been good. I even look what they did to Kyler Murray that game against Arizona. Like you held that offense to very minimal points. Christian Kirk, had a touchdown in that game. You didn't have DeAndre Hopkins, but that's still a very talented offense for the Cardinals, even with James Conner having the type of season that he's had. And then I even go back to the Baltimore game and being able to contain Lamar Jackson and not let him get out of the pocket too much. I get you had the 1 3rd and 19 that you gave up, which was absolutely brutal. But these guys are learning, and it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic works going into next season. Do do they go up and try to pick up someone in the draft? I know Derek Stingley out of LSU is a guy that people have talked about. I don't know if the Lions will take somebody that high again at the cornerback position. Not if they have the top 2 picks.
Kyle Hamilton.
I know Kyle Hamilton's your guy, so it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic works out.
It's interesting enough you spoke on the Baltimore Ravens, and in that game is I'm looking here at the passing rankings for defense, and we're actually above them, and they're kind of known for the defense. John Harbaugh has been an excellent coach in his tenure, and they're kind of the same situation with us, where they're kind of like injury riddled, at least in the defensive back, the defensive back category. And for us to rank ahead of them, it's impressive.
Yeah, you got to at least like what you've seen from where we started the season to where we're at now. So before we had to break it, Easy, you have a word from our friends at the Fulling Warehouse.
Yeah, Nick, there's actually more a word for you, my friend. I'd like to challenge you to a rematch. How about you grab your buddy Sawyer, who so unselfishly carried you on his back and defeated myself and Maggie in Fulling. Maggie, who's, I can't put all that information out, but she was injured. I'd like to have a rematch at the Fulling Warehouse. And maybe, if I win, I'd like to go to the $2 mystery beer machine and grab myself and my partner a couple beers.
I'll grab you 10 of those beers if you actually beat me.
Let's deal. The Fulling Warehouse in Hamtramck. You guys want to come there? Come see me destroy this guy Nick in my rematch.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10 and a half months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech. Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Your Detroit alternative to the normal sports blah, blah, blah. It's Woodward Sports.
Well, I mean, look, there's a number of guys, but I mean, certainly one of the first ones that pops in my head is Jalen Reeves-Maven pops up. And I know he missed a couple of games here due to injury, but when he's been out there on defense and on special teams, he makes plays. He's a football player, and that doesn't go unnoticed. Michael Brockers has been steady all year long, man. He's been a force for us, and just a steady, constant, reliable force for us. Look, Jamal, I know when Jamal's been able to play, I mean, there's a number of these guys. Alex Anzalone before he got hurt. Freak Leaf, St. Brown is a rookie. I mean, I could go down the list, for a lot of these guys that have been here for most of the year. Look, Will Harris, man, he's been here, and he's been doing it, and he's had to play multiple roles for us. So Amani before he got hurt, I mean, so really there is a nice core group of guys here, and that, man, have been steady and reliable for us.
And we are back. The bottom line here on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Nick Leach, filling in for Ryan Armani. My man Easy to my right, filling in for Braylon Edwards. Ryan and Braylon will be back next week. They're getting a much-needed rest.
We actually have Braylon tomorrow. Talk some Michigan football with us.
Yeah, Braylon's going to call in. We're going to talk some Michigan football with him, and we'll do that at the end of the show today too, a little bit. But obviously, you got to hear from the man himself before the Orange Bowl on Friday night between Georgia and Michigan. So,
can I speak on something that Dan Campbell said? That's kind of like what I was, speaking on. When we were like reflecting on these grades, is like, yeah, as a unit and the production, ultimately the grade has to be bad because the numbers are what they are. But factoring in the amount of injuries, and he even talked about Will Harris and the multiple roles he's had to play in this defense, with filling in the safety, back to corner spot. Like, it's, yes, we have to grade them harshly because, again, numbers are what they are. But factoring everything in, putting the human element behind it, like, these guys have been really impressive, honestly.
Yeah, and it was great. That was a great clip for Alex to play there, especially after coming off and talking about the defensive side of the ball. And obviously, you just have to look at. I mean, you can look at it one of two ways: is you look at it as hard, or you're going to look at it from stats and numbers. And your record ultimately determines what you're going to do in this league. So that's why I graded a little bit harsher. But I do think some of these guys have played their butt off for the situation that they've kind of been dealt this year. But nonetheless, it's been an exciting year. regardless, I get people are going to say like that's a homer thing to say, but Dan Campbell has been excited for this team, regardless if you take the press conferences or not. It's been a breath of fresh air after the previous regime and not getting much out of Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. Seeing Brad Holmes in the locker room celebrating with those guys, I'm all for that. I like seeing that. I like seeing guys passionate about their job and not trying to act like it doesn't matter or anything like that. So you got to love what you do, and those guys definitely seem like they're enjoying what they're doing this year, coaching the Detroit Lions, running the Detroit Lions, and what seems to be a tough season. So some exciting news came out yesterday. The Lions have their opponents for the 2022 season.
Yes, sir.
As many of us like to do now, especially since the season's winding down, is already looking ahead to next year and see. So obviously you get your same NFC North opponents 2 times a year with Green Bay, Minnesota, and the Chicago Bears. And then you get next year, you get the AFC East, the NFC East, and then your 3 random games with the Seattle Seahawks, the Carolina Panthers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So expectations for next year, easy. Looking at the schedule, obviously the Bills are a tough team. The Patriots are a tough team this year. The Dolphins are even a tough team this year. So the AFC East is not a walkthrough by any means, especially for a tough Lions organization. The NFC East looks a lot more appetizing besides the Dallas Cowboys there.
Yeah.
But as you kind of look, and I know this is very early to do this without a draft or anything just yet, but
it's always fun to do, though.
Yeah, where do you set your win total for this Lions organization next year? Like, what will you not be satisfied with in the win column?
Win total. I want at least 5 wins, and I'm just saying that out loud. I don't care who we're playing. Like, I need to see 5 wins. This year has been brutal, man. Like, talking football just in general is like some of the most fun stuff to talk about when you're talking sports. We do this stuff statistically, on the social media, on YouTube and Twitter and stuff like that. And, generally, football does the biggest numbers. But the Detroit Lions this year, with only a 2-win season, have made it very, very hard to continue to talk football without saying the same exhausting things like, hey, this team needs help. Hey, this team needs talent. You know what I'm saying? So I need some wins next year, man. I need something to talk about. I need to be excited. The 3 random games we were talking about, I learned yesterday the reason why that happens is those are actually the last place teams in the following divisions. So that's why we play the Jags, the Seahawks, and the Panthers. They're going to finish last in the South and the AFC West and the AFC South or whatever. But those are 3 wins I could see. The Seahawks might actually be without Russell Wilson next year. The Panthers, I'm not completely sold on them. I know they've had some injury issues as well with their starting quarterback, and they don't really know what they got going on there. But the Jags, we just have to beat them, man. They're the Detroit Lions of the AFC. You know what I'm saying? They're also at the bottom of the barrel, and I need that. Another hot topic that we're maybe discussing later is that might have Jim Caldwell at the head coaching position in that game too.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in our next segment, but kind of reeling it back just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, Pete Carroll kind of came out and said that Seattle they kind of took what Brad Holmes and company said last year. They need a retool, not necessarily a rebuild. I think what they've seen for rebuild for fan bases, that doesn't really bode over too well. Mm-hmm. And retool seems to be that name, but
it's just sexier. Seattle
needs a lot of help, and for them, they're kind of doing it without a first-round draft pick. Like, they should be picking up inside the top 10, but they traded for Jamal Adams from the New York Jets, and the New York Jets have their first-round draft pick now. So
11-6, the Washington football team fan says. What are they 11-6? Are they talking about the Lions jumping 11-6?
I mean, that would be a bold prediction, I think, for either the Washington football team or the Detroit Lions.
What dispensary are they visiting? Can we get them as a sponsor? That's great. 11. I just see 5 for sure. I see Seattle as winnable, Jacksonville winnable, New York Giants winnable, the Washington football team winnable, and then the Jets winnable.
What about the Chicago Bears?
Dude, I'm super biased when it comes to that. I hate the Bears more than I'm just going to have to refrain myself from saying swear words. Ever since the Calvin Johnson no catch, it's F the Bears for life.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm setting the win mark at 6. You got to get at least 6 wins next year. You're looking like you get 2 wins this year, and you should add a few pieces. You should add a top-tier draft pick. You have another first-round draft pick that should be able to come in and contribute right away too. And a lot of these games they already lost this year were in like within a one-score game. Like they had their opportunities, and I know I touched on it yesterday in the show. Like you could have won a few of these games that didn't swing your way. You could have won the Baltimore game. Like you could have honestly been at that 6-win mark this year, had a few plays change for your favor. So for me, just looking at that schedule now, it's definitely not easy with the Buffalo Bills, and you've seen what the Patriots have done on the defensive side of the ball. Mac Jones seems to be fitting into that system perfectly, like Bill Belichick and a lot of people thought would happen. So I don't like seeing that, but I always feel like the Lions, for the most part, besides maybe the Cowboys, have matched up pretty well against the NFC East. We've seen at times they beat the Eagles. We've seen them beat the Washington football team. We've seen them beat the Giants. The Giants and a lot of these teams have question marks that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. So I can't be satisfied with anything less than 6. I think the morning show touched on it this morning. You know, they talked about Jim Schwartz's first few years here, and he came in, was the head coach during Matt Stafford's rookie season. I think they had 2 wins his rookie year, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. The following year, I believe he took it to 4 wins, and then by the third season, he took it to 10-6, and had you in a wild card spot. So I think realistically, Jared Goff has proven that he can win football games at least later down the stretch this year. We've seen him win football games in LA, so I don't see him going anywhere. So you have to expect that having a healthy team around him and a healthy offensive line, a healthy Swift, a healthy Hawk, like this should be a team that I think should compete pretty regularly next year.
You know how our guy Big Cat has a pinky team every year? If they win the Super Bowl, he'll chop that pinky off. Is there a pinky team you'd pick out of this list that we'll for sure beat? And stay out of the NFC North. Let's make it fun.
I'm with Alex on that one. I'm going with the Giants.
The Giants?
Yeah.
So Alex, if the Giants beat the Detroit Lions, you cut off your pinky? Would you be willing to make that bet?
Just a tip.
Just a tip.
Just a tip? Yeah, I'll do it. Let's do it.
All right, you guys are. Hey, I'm cutting that clip, and it's cementing itself into social media. Everyone on YouTube too. I want you guys to remember that too. The Detroit Lions lose the New York Giants.
Now, who's your team?
Oh man, I didn't want to cut my pinky. I want to cut your guys' pinkies off, not mine.
You're the one who brought the topic to the table, brother.
For sure. If I'm picking one, like I said, there's a lot of determining factors that we don't even know yet. We don't know who's going to be head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to say Bears because we have 2 shots of beating them.
Well, that's fair. The one team I would not say are the Panthers. All the Panthers really need is a quarterback and for CMC to stay healthy to at least give themselves a shot at the playoffs. So I'm glad you didn't say that one for your own sake. But
well, you didn't give us one.
I went with the Giants.
Okay.
So I'm riding with Alex's coattails there. So if you're listening on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button for Easy and I. We like our jobs here, and we want to be able to do this more often for you.
Smash that like button.
And if you're listening on the radio, or if you're in your car or you got to run to your car, you can always listen to us on the radio. 99.1 FM, The Roar, 93.5 FM, both the Roar stations. That's on the radio. And then 94.7 HD2, another station you can listen while you're in your car. We also have the Woodward Sports app too. So that's WSN Live. You can listen to us anywhere you go, in your pocket, if you want to work out. It's almost the new year, so you got to get that.
What are you trying to say,
in.
Nick Leach?
I'm just saying, everyone makes that New Year's resolution for the first month. So, and then you can always find us on all of our social media at Woodward Sports on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitch. We'll be right back. Bottom line.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Opinions are like ear holes, and we're putting ours in yours.
Well, that's not winning, joint.
It's Woodward Sports.
And we are back. This is the Bottom Line, Woodward Sports Network. I am your host, Nick Leach, filling in for Ryan Armani. I've got my boy Easy.
What up, though? I want a better Armani impersonation than that, though.
Wow,
I mean, gotta tune the pitch up a little bit, man.
I don't want to steal Armani's stick.
You made me go all out yesterday. You guys both hyped me up before the show to do Armani.
Well, we're ultimate hype man. You got to be a better hype man before we come back from break.
And here we go.
All right, I'll match that energy next time. I got you.
All right,
I appreciate that. But no, before we went to break, and you brought it up in our last segment, Easy, when we were talking about the opponents for next year, and one of those teams that we could see going into we will see going into next season is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And there's been reports out there now too that you could see former Detroit Lions head coach Jim Caldwell at least getting an interview for that position.
Yeah, it's. I mean, ultimately, I'm happy, man. Jim Caldwell is like a great guy. He seems like a great human being. Everyone that I've spoken to says he's a great man. I've only had an interaction with him like once or twice at training camp. I used to have like season tickets, and he's always been super, super cool. Ultimately, though, I would be a little salty. You know what I'm saying? Like little. It would just suck, man, because he was the one, like, of our lifetimes at least, the winningest Detroit Lions coach we've ever seen.
Would you be worried at all?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, do you believe in Trevor Lawrence?
I mean,
the verdict isn't necessarily out. Like, I'm not gonna say he's terrible. I mean, remember Joe Burrow's first year was rough too, you know?
Yeah, but my man got a torn ACL. That was a little bit of a different story. I get Jacksonville has had all their storylines. Obviously, I'm just had to bust you up a little bit, but obviously. We saw Jim Caldwell. Matthew Stafford was younger at the time. He was, I could say at the time, was a little bit of a generational talent. People in the chat are going to light me up for saying that. I understand it. But, you know, he made playoff runs with him. He pulled out the best in Stafford at the time and the defense. But you're looking at the record there on the screen, 2014, 11-5 in the playoffs, 2015, 7-9, 2016, 9-7, 2017, 9-7. Like, I do see that capable for the Jacksonville Jaguars, especially as you have Trevor Lawrence there.
Does that hurt to look at, man?
But I don't think it would really bother me. I think a lot of Lions fans will look at it from a standpoint like he did deserve another opportunity. What happened here in Detroit, looking back on it, was kind of messed up. But like I said yesterday, I wasn't totally upset when they moved on from him and started the old Patriot way thing. I'm not afraid to admit that. So I think he deserves at least one more shot. I mean, someone said, like, at 66 years old, don't you think he has something better to do? I was like,
what?
I don't think so. I think these guys, like, once you get in football, I could only imagine it's something you want to do the rest of your life.
Yeah, I have tremendous respect again for Jim Caldwell. Like, not only I've spoken the things like off the field and the leadership that he provided, because Glover Quinn, we're having him on tomorrow. I'm sure he'll speak just as highly of him. But like on the field, he also produced only 2 losing seasons in his tenure as an NFL head coach. Now you can say yes, he had Peyton Manning, and you can say he had Ndamukong Suh, for a few of the years that he was here too. But ultimately, like only 2 losing seasons, like. Hello, that's a good grade. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty damn good. The one losing season that he had here in Detroit was 7-9. You know, we have 2 wins right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I honestly don't know the exact stat, but I don't think Patricia had 7 wins in his entire time here in 3 years.
I try to forget about that whole Patricia
I do too. I definitely black it out as well. But little bit of it would just suck to see him succeed. I'm going to root for him to succeed, but it would just suck knowing that we had him here and we let him go for almost no reason. Because again, only one losing season. The one losing season he had was 7-9. Like, you know, the NFL, only one team can win a championship every single year.
Another thing you should know is that 7-9 season, the Lions actually started off 1-7 and then have closed the season on like a 6-2 run. So yeah, Caldwell did a really good job of like rallying our locker room. Like he had 9-7 years, but you know, he had a winning culture that just maybe like was missing 1 or 2 pieces, I would say so.
We really did, man. Like, and the entire locker room. I mean, you hear these guys speak on it all the time. They were hurt when he left.
So you said you worry about him finding success. What do you determine success for down there?
I don't worry about, because I do root for him in it. But it would just suck to see knowing that like we had that here and we let it go. Because it not only was it winning, it was culture as well. And the culture is what we're trying to like build here. But what I would determine as successful there, I mean, the things they did here. You know, I think you give him the time, maybe he will do something special for you. And he's a gentleman, like again, a true leader where he holds himself accountable in like, you know, looking at the flaws that he may have had here. I can see him correcting them and possibly being even better. Now, we all agree that Jacksonville Jaguars aren't the sexiest roster in the league, and clearly that number one pick this year for a reason. Like, I don't expect it to be a right away turnaround, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Jim Caldwell he's a good coach, man. You could say what you want. He ultimately, at the end of the day, is a good coach in the NFL.
Yeah, and you got a couple young pieces to go along with it. You get Travis Etienne back next year, who's healthy. Trevor Lawrence, for me, can only go up from here.
Yeah.
Obviously, I still think they need to they got to shore up that offensive line just a little bit for him. He kind of got beat around this year as well. So there's I didn't think we'd have that question mark so much on the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. But the way the season unfolded with Urban Meyer, it just made that situation completely murky down there. And you at least for that organization, because like you said, you compare them to the Lions a little bit. And I can honestly say, when you see a team that's in kind of the bottom of the barrel like the Lions have been, even when the Browns kind of started, made it to the playoffs last year, made it to the AFC Championship, like there's a part of you that kind of roots for that because you know what their fan base goes for. So I root for Jim Caldwell's success. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm upset that we let him go. One Pride 40 said in the chat, he goes, now what happens if Dan Campbell pans out? I mean,
it is what it is. Like that's the situation we're in. Like we don't have a choice to go back to Jim Caldwell. We have Dan Campbell. So yeah, I hope Dan Campbell pans out.
Were you a person at the time that was calling for Caldwell to get moved on from? Did you want to see him go? Or?
No, I didn't. I understand. Like these things take time. Like you can't. Like we're in such like a microwave generation, and I don't. Even back then, we were kind of like in that mode where we want things now. But like the reality is like that's not the way the NFL works. Only one team can win a year out of 32 of them. It's not going to happen every single year. But if you have a guy who's getting you to the dance, more than not, you stick with that guy. You at least give him 5 years. I think he just deserved more time. I think, again, I truly believe in like his leadership and him holding himself accountable to find the right pieces to get better. Did it feel that way when he was coaching at times? No. Sometimes the offense was extremely bland, and it took Mrs. Ford to come down and get rid of Joe Lombardi, who was god awful as the offensive coordinator of this team. But I think he deserved more time here, and I'm kind of Doug Peterson's also interviewing for this job, and he's a Super Bowl winning head coach, so I fully expect him probably to get the nod over Jim Caldwell. But I'm kind of hoping that Jim Caldwell does get this job, and I do want to see what he does to kind of prove a lot of our theories here as Detroit Lions fans that he was the guy. He could have been the guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's always fun to play the what ifs, right? And it's almost like Lions fans and the organization themselves got greedy with him. Like he came out his first year and went 11-5 and took you to a playoff game, and that it's almost like he shot himself in the foot a little bit. But I know when he was brought in, when Schwartz was let go, it was a very talented roster that wasn't succeeding to the level of what everyone thought, and that kind of continued through Caldwell's tenure. Like we expected more out of them than just a 9-7. Like I said, they went 11-5, and they were kind of keeping some of those core pieces around. And then it just you missed the playoffs. You brought in a GM from the Patriots organization, and I remember the talks happened right away that Jim Caldwell isn't Bob Quinn's guy. He's going to go out and get his guy, and that's what happened. So. It was unfortunate to see it happen the way it did, but ultimately, if it helps, or if it's kind of a trickle effect of making Motor City Dan Campbell work out here in Detroit, let bygones be bygones.
Yeah, you got to be happy with that. The people who are saying like Caldwell wasn't like constantly bringing it to you, or he never gave you a playoff win, I just kind of refer to guys like Andy Reid, who Andy Reid had been. I will say Andy Reid double-digit wins a lot more often than the 9 wins that we saw with Caldwell, but. A guy who constantly was like there, and just never made it, and finally like knocked it down, and now we're putting him up there as like one of the greatest. So it just it takes time in this league, and again, only one team can win a year. It's how it works.
You got to build that core and you build that foundation. That's why you bring in Dan Campbell, and I'm a Dan Campbell guy. I drink that Kool-Aid, and I mix that Kool-Aid with my Gypsy vodka because there's nothing better than some good old Gypsy vodka. Gluten-free too, man. You can sit there. It feels like you're drinking something healthy, even though it's not. Make sure you drink responsibly, people. Don't get out of hand and drink too much of that Gypsy Kool-Aid. So you're supporting local guys here too by buying it. You can find Gypsy vodka. Even our friends over at Meyer and Royal Oak, when we did Stuff a Studio, had it on the shelf. So be sure to get over there, drink responsibly, and enjoy that Gypsy vodka.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Rich, as the losses mount for the Chicago Bears, it's becoming clearer and clearer that they are headed toward a new coach in 2022. Now, there's been no firm and final decision on the status of Matt Nagy, but my understanding is it is very much in doubt, and one could be coming for Nagy, who does face an uphill battle to keep his job. The reason why we're talking about this now is there is a new rule that allows teams who fire their coach to interview via Zoom candidates over the final 2 weeks. So if the Bears want to get a jump on a potential search, news could be coming Monday if, in fact, they lose. Meanwhile, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, they already fired Urban Meyer. I think we've established that pretty good. Here's a list of names to keep an eye on as far as guys they will want to interview for their vacant head coaching job. 1, Byron Leftwich, the former Jaguars quarterback, who now is the Tampa Bay Bucs offensive coordinator. And then I'm also told that Jim Caldwell and Doug Peterson are expected to interview for the Jaguars. Rich?
And we are back.
There we
the
go.
Bottom line here on the Woodward Sports Network. I am your host, Nick Leach, filling in for Ryan Armani. My guy Easy to my right. He was pumping me up. I had to give it to him. Shout out to Ryan Armani. We're getting your intros down. It's almost like he never left.
Nah, he left. Come on. Every day comes in like this, man. I miss it, man.
Yeah, for people that don't know, is Ryan, every time he comes back, we got a back entrance to the Woodward Sports area that we're at, and he comes in clapping every day. He's fired up to be here.
Nope.
There's a guy that loves sports so
This guy
much.
loves life, man.
He puts you in a good mood. Like, you could have like a stressful morning going on, or you could be on the phone with the mortgage company for 12 hours. But Ryan he has that infectious personality that you really can't get enough of when you're around him. It's something I've never kind of seen. Like honestly, like when you get around TV personalities, you think like this guy's probably pretty full of himself or anything like that. And Ryan, that is not the case with Ryan whatsoever.
Not at all, man. It's so funny. Ryan's such a good guy. There's a viral TikTok of him on that morning show, and they're eating like some type of food, and all three of the hosts, they're making like these faces like it's nasty. And then but Ryan, being the good guy he is, he's like, this stuff's great, man. And the middle host, she's like, oh really, Ryan? And he's like, yeah. She's like, why don't you take another bite? And he was like, all right. He took the second bite. He's that good of a guy, man. He sacrificed himself for the greater good.
Yeah, you got to love Ryan. And I know he's a big supporter of us.
Yes,
he was pretty
man.
excited for us to kind of run his show while he was gone. Braylon, too.
Yes.
So we appreciate them for letting us have this opportunity to do this. I've been having a blast with it. I know you have been, too.
Hell yeah.
Like I said, it's an opportunity that we didn't know we'd ever get a year ago today. So before we went to break, we were talking about, Jim Caldwell potentially making his return to the NFL. And I kind of want to go around the rest of the NFL too, potential job openings in the NFL, and what you kind of think on some of these takes and what I'm about to throw at you. So obviously we already talked about Jacksonville. Urban Meyer's out the door. You saw the clip with Ian Rappaport talking about Matt Nagy in Chicago, and he even said it in a press conference yesterday that he does expect to coach the final 2 games there, but you can tell the writing's on the wall there in Chicago, and rightfully so. Las Vegas, obviously the whole Gruden situation. You have interim Rich Bisaccia there. Don't know if he'll actually get a serious look at for the head coaching job. Maybe if the Raiders somehow squeak into the playoffs, he will. And then Minnesota, Mike Zimmer. I still think this is a guy that's on the hot seat.
Oh, for sure, he's got to be.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, you lost to the winless Detroit Lions, so that's going to be a cause for concern. And you read the fan bases too. You see a lot of what everybody's saying out there. New York, this might be a little bit Joe Judge. Don't know if you can fairly judge him, as weird as that sounds, but I know they let go of their offensive coordinator. So my guess is if they're given him that power to do that he'll still be around. And then the last 2 are maybe a little bit surprised in Seattle with Pete Carroll. and this is not necessarily of Pete Carroll getting fired or anything like that, of him maybe just stepping away. I mean, he is the oldest coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
Which is, a lot of people don't know that because he does act like a little kid on that sideline still.
70 years old he is. It's crazy.
And I think a lot of that just has to do with,
He's got
keeping
the
himself
Armani.
young.
He's got the Armani effect.
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly. It's the positive outlook. And the last one is Vic Fangio. Now, this is only because I read a few reports that Vic Fangio was, not pleading for his job, but he said in a few reports that, he goes, I think I deserve a chance to come back. And they're a situation much like, I feel like Carolina a little bit is, I don't mean to come in here and slander Teddy Bridgewater's name at all. But that's still a team that could use a quarterback. Now, you talked about Russell Wilson potentially going to not playing in Seattle next year. I think Denver's a spot he could play. They've talked about Aaron Rodgers not playing in Green Bay.
I just realized I picked Chicago as my pinky team, and Russell Wilson might be their quarterback next year.
No, I don't think with Justin Fields there, I don't think there's any way they bring him in.
I mean, I could care less about Justin Fields' feelings if I had a chance at Russell Wilson.
But Russell Wilson's kind of been knocked around this year as far as like his performances go. It's definitely not. I get he's got the
pinky,
the torn ligament
finger.
in his finger on his throwing hand. So those are just some of the names. Again, I do think some of these guys are staying. I don't think Judge is going to go anywhere just yet. But Carroll, I that's just a name out there. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a switch. Granted, I know they say retool, but I think they're headed towards a rebuild.
Yeah, man. I agree. All these coaches on the hot seat. To be honest with you, I don't care too much for them to keep their job or whether they keep it or go. I just want them to stay the F away from Aaron Glenn and what we have going on here. And even digging deeper than that into our offensive group too. We talked about Ben Johnson yesterday. If someone took Deuce Staley, to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind too bad. I'm not too aware of what he offers to the offense outside of obviously being the running back coach and like a leader from a leadership position. But in terms of like schematics and whatnot, I don't think he holds that type of role within an organization. Deuce Staley, maybe they could have one of these teams could have him. That's cool. They could have Deuce Staley, but leave Ben Johnson alone, leave Aaron Glenn alone, and leave Aubrey Pleasant alone. I want all those guys to stay here in Detroit, and I hope they feel the same way too. I hope they want to see this thing, turn around and see this thing come full circle. Being that they got their hands dirty and came here to win, and I hope they have that competitive edge from being former players and want to stay to truly see that.
I don't think we need to worry about anyone on the coaching staff for the Lions leaving. There's a lot of names like Byron Leftwich. He's done a great job in Tampa Bay as offensive coordinator for them down there. Could you see a reunion with him in Jacksonville?
That'd be awesome.
That'd be kind of a cool story, I think, in the NFL in general. And what an opportunity for him, the team that drafted you out of college. You played quarterback, and I get things didn't work out the way they were supposed to there. But, you get another opportunity to go back and leave a mark in a different way. So that's one. The name Kellen Moore I've brought up quite a bit. That's kind of the young guy type attitude that some of these teams seem to take. Eric Bieniemy, I think it's just only a matter of time before he gets looked at, especially since the heater of the Chiefs, what they've been doing. I just think there's a lot more names out there in the league that potentially would wind up with one of those jobs. But if you're kind of one of those names, like I said, if you're an offensive coordinator, let's say, what job would be most appealing to you out of Jacksonville, Chicago, Minnesota, and let's say Las Vegas?
Jacksonville all day. I think Minnesota is appealing because they have more of a complete roster, I feel like, and I think that's another reason why Mike Zimmerman's he should be fired. He's had a roster for a long time now. He's had a lot of great players there. He has Patrick Peterson in the backfield now, Anthony Barr, Everson Griffin. They've had tons of guys there. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. There's too much talent there to not have turned that around, especially in the NFC North. That's not the greatest. But probably Jacksonville just because they have the rookie quarterback. If anybody's followed me from my podcast days back in the basement, that's one of the biggest things I've been a proponent on is having a quarterback on a rookie contract. It allows you to find your veteran leadership or your all-star players elsewhere. You got guys like the linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, Devin White, I believe is his name. He's going to be a free agent this coming year. You have a rookie quarterback, guess what? You could throw Devin White a couple mil and bring him to your team, with championship caliber and leadership experience. That's probably definitely the most appealing one to me, and they have a high draft pick this year.
Yeah, that's a very good point. For me, if I'm kind of out there looking, if I'm a Kellen Moore or something like that, you know, a job that you just talked about, Minnesota. Look at the talent that's already there. Justin Jefferson still on his rookie contract. Kirk Cousins, I believe, is there through 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Because he signed an extension a couple years ago. But like for me, that's the team that's probably the most win ready now. And I would assume if Aaron Rodgers leaves that division, Minnesota would have to move into the front runner for maybe your favorite to take that. And people are kind of maybe looking at me like Rodgers leaving the Packers. Like, it's well documented how unhappy
no one's looking crazy.
Rodgers is there. And Mackie in the chat sat there and threw out too that, you know, Denver, John Elway, you don't think he'd love to have Aaron Rodgers for even a year or two like he did with Peyton Manning?
No, I think that's what's going to happen too, because that was rumored. I mean, back when we were like on the hook, we had I can't think of his damn name, and I apologize, but he's close to the Denver Broncos organization, and he was the one to leak, the tampering or whatever you want to call it, with Aaron Rodgers possibly becoming a Denver Bronco, and it was just due to the Packers organization's stubbornness that trade didn't happen. I mean, if you even look back to like the Brett Favre years, you know, Brett Favre went to the Packers organization, and I forget who the second team was. It was a winning organization. Maybe it was the 49ers. He's like, hey, these are the two teams that want to trade for me. And what ended up happening was, out of stubbornness, they asked, would you prefer? He said the 49ers, or it may have been another team, and they traded him to the Jets, despite that, in spite. So that'd be ideal if they get Aaron Rodgers. Like, yeah, hell yeah, I'd want to go coach that team. But I probably Jacksonville or Minnesota for me. Yeah. I agree with your take on the Minnesota and the NFC North.
I just think Fangio will be back next year.
Yes, I think he's going to be back too.
That was one. I just saw him, it seemed like he was kind of making a case for his job. So we got to get to a quick break. But when we come back from break, we'll do a little bit of some college football talk. So I know we did a little bit yesterday. We're going to kind of build it up as the week goes on. Braylon's on the show tomorrow, so we'll definitely do a lot there. But Easy, how was your drive in today?
My drive was good, man. If I were to take that job in Jacksonville, I would need a reliable car to get there. You know where I'd get that reliable car? Les Sanford Chevrolet. Find new roads. Dial the number, 313-565-6000. Les Sanford Chevrolet. Find new roads. Return your used car for cash back. It's an entire pre-owned lot. Everything's verified and you're good to go. Find new roads with Les Sanford Chevrolet.
Hi, I'm Kay Cunningham. Working with Hall Financial to purchase my first home was easier than I could have ever imagined. They treated me like family from start to finish. Find out for yourself at callhallfirst.com.
What's the over-under? Should I tease? Who is the lock of the night? Make sure you're watching Woodward Bets to get the latest in sports betting and more. Woodward Bets daily on Woodward Sports.
And we are back. This is The Bottom Line with Leach and Easy, filling in for our guys, Ryan Armani and Braylon Edwards. How was that one?
It was entertaining.
Do I got to get my pitch up more? Or?
Yeah. I seen that in the chat, too. You got to turn the pitch up a little bit. You want to try it one more again?
No, I got a few more opportunities, so I'm not going to, it's like
you know who does it the best? Is my man, the woodshed there. Alex, let's hear it, please, for the people.
I'm good at it because I have to listen to it every damn day. But here we go. I wish I had a break to make it more natural. And here we go. Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Woodward Sports Network, Tuesday, December 28th, 2021. But we got Nick and Easy instead.
So, are we sure he's over in the production booth that he's not just lip syncing that and hitting a button? Because that sounded exactly like him.
He definitely hit a button. For the radio audience who couldn't see that, but he was just lip syncing, nothing there.
But Easy, before obviously we were talking a little bit about the coaching vacancies in the NFL before we went to break.
Yes.
But we got a big week here in Michigan itself. College football playoffs, Friday night lights, New Year's Eve. I mean, what an exciting time to have some football on. I remember how much fun we had a couple years ago when Michigan State was playing on New Year's Eve. Granted, the result didn't go the way a lot of people thought. I may have had actually drinking gypsy vodka back then too, and drank way too much of that to kind of sulk in the Michigan State loss. But let's preview these games a little bit between Alabama and Cincinnati and Michigan and Georgia. So obviously Alabama is the earliest game with Cincy. Currently Alabama is the favorite by 14 points. Over-under set at 58. What are you, expecting out of this game? Who's kind of your players to watch? And ultimately, what is your final score prediction?
I'm expecting a good old-fashioned butt whooping. Yeah, come on now. This is not. I don't want to discredit anyone that's not in the Power 5. I think that Cincinnati does bring a lot of senior leadership to the field, so I don't think that they'll be necessarily intimidated by being across like an Alabama team, because these guys, 4 years in, they've seen the game. They played Georgia this year too, if I'm not mistaken. I think they've only lost by like a field goal this year. Or
for who? Cincy?
Did Cincy play Georgia this year?
Cincy went undefeated this year.
No, but did they? I apologize about that. Either way, I think that they have a lot of seniors on this team. Obviously, they got great coaching, but Alabama's Alabama. Bryce Young is a bad man. As good as Georgia's defense was, we saw what Bryce Young was able to do to them, and that's just an X factor that it's hard for any team to deal with. I don't care who you are, and especially one that's undermanned in terms of like talent versus talent in the Cincinnati matchup against Alabama. So give me Alabama. You said they're 14 points to spread?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me that.
So I was leaning that way. I think we even touched on it in yesterday's show, and then obviously did a little bit more research and kind of dived into this matchup. And, Bryce Young isn't going to have his number one target on the outside corner with John Mechie III. He's not playing in this game due to significant ACL injury. And their running back, Brian Robinson, hasn't been, that Alabama running back that we've seen in years past, Trent Richardson, Derrick Henry. Like, they don't really have that factor with him.
Yeah.
Although the offense has been kind of making it click, and Bryce Young has got it done. The reason this kind of matches up a lot better, and I know a lot of the experts out there are saying, like, this is a very winnable game for Cincinnati. You have two potential first-round draft picks playing cornerback for you with Ahmad Gardner and Kobe Bryant. So for them, you lose your star receiver. Two, you got going against two of the top cornerbacks in all of college football this year, at least by Power Football Focus is concerned. I think the number for me is going to float right around that 14 mark. I do think Alabama's Alabama. You give Nick Saban 3 weeks against any opponent, and he's proven time and time again that he can get it done on the biggest stage. So I actually would take Cincy plus 14 on my book.
Really? Now, is that so you're speaking to Cincinnati's defense, or in that taking Cincinnati's plus 14, or are you speaking to Alabama's lack of offense in that, or like?
I just think it's kind of a mixture of both, and a little bit obviously more research that I did. You dive a little bit deeper into this, and I did think it was going to be a blowout at first, but like the defense for Cincinnati is what has gotten them there. And don't get me wrong, Desmond Ridder I think has been fantastic for them this year.
Yeah.
A lot of people I think even in Detroit have talked about him maybe potentially becoming a Lion, maybe with a second-round draft pick. So it's an intriguing matchup nonetheless, because you got an SEC powerhouse versus the first ever non-Power 5 conference team to make the college football playoff. So it'll really show if Luke Fickell can get it done and make this game. Obviously, it doesn't matter if he makes it competitive. You have to win. You're winning or going home. But what will that say about Luke Fickell if he can go out and beat a team like Alabama at a smaller program like Cincy?
Oh, he'd be a phenomenal coach. He wouldn't be the coach of Cincinnati anymore, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought too.
Yeah, he wouldn't be. Yeah, he'd definitely get one of those Mel Tucker contracts, or my man who's the one to sign with USC because he's a private jet and everything like that.
Oh, Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, he'll get one of those contracts. Those teams, they probably should have waited to make a hire in case this, Luke Fickell does beat Alabama. But I don't think that'd be the case, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I look from a standpoint too how is college football going to evolve over the next few years too? Will Cincy maybe try to join the Big Ten or conference? Are a lot of these non-Power 5 teams going to try to get themselves in a conference, so they don't have to go up against the narrative of, well, you guys didn't really play a tough conference, or you didn't play one of the biggest 5 conferences in all of college football. So I don't know, who knows? Maybe Cincinnati absolutely throws the bag at Luke Fickell, but like you said, there's definitely a lot more storied programs out there that would be willing to take him and maybe not even rule him out in the NFL as well.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, there's that. I mean, we have a scenario with that with the Arizona Cardinals, but granted, it's kind of fizzling out. But I just don't really see it happening. Alabama's got that patented defense too from Nick Saban. He does what he does, man, because it's not only just the talent that Nick Saban has; it's coaching. Everywhere he's been, even at Michigan State, he did fairly well too. So it's a steep hill to climb.
All right, before we get to Michigan, Georgia, final score prediction.
Final score prediction for this one.
Yep.
Sheesh. 34-14, Alabama.
All right. I'm close to that. I'm like 30-17.
Alex, score prediction?
I'm going to go with Alabama 38, Cincinnati 21.
Flannel Sam?
I'm going to go with Alabama 45, Cincinnati 17. I don't believe in Cincinnati at all.
Oh,
play a real
fired.
schedule.
Oh, Flannel Sam, not a fan of the non-Power 5 teams.
I am not, honestly. I was really hoping that Oklahoma State would win the Big 12, so Cincinnati would be out of the playoff. I'm one of those ones. I don't want to see Cincinnati in the playoffs at all.
So when you hear a story like David versus Goliath, you're more of a Goliath type of person.
It depends, because obviously I've had rooting interests when I've wanted David to win, but as far as most of the time, yeah, Goliath. I don't like a bunch of upsets in the NCAA tournament, not to get off topic, but just to give context, I'm more of a Goliath guy for the most part.
And look, for me, honestly, I'm rooting for the storyline, but when it comes to Alabama, my team, our team, Michigan State has been a part of that storyline, and they met Alabama and they've just got shredded.
Sam even got Adam in the chat saying Flannel Sam knows what he's talking about. So I couldn't repeat the exact word that he said. But and then Aaron Woods actually corrected me. I made a mistake about Cincinnati. Cincinnati is already going to the Big 12. I forgot that got announced back in September. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know teams could jump conferences until this year. I wasn't aware of that. And I think that's something we'd want to do as a Cincinnati. Jump up to those conferences, compete with the tougher teams. If you truly want to develop a program, that's what you do.
Yeah, we got Steve Brown in the chat said he took Alabama minus 13.5. Honolulu Blue Sparty took saying Alabama 49, Cincinnati 7. So I don't know. I feel like it could end up being closer than it looks, but only to I think Cincinnati just barely covers that spread. So
Alabama by 1 billion.
All right, looking at the more important game, at least to us, Michigan versus Georgia. The primetime game, I guess you could say, 7:30 start. We'll have the pregame show going live here in the Woodward Sports Studio. What are you looking for out of this game? Do you think the closer and closer we get to game time, I'm expecting. I feel better and better about Michigan's chances. I don't know why I have that feeling. It's just kind of in the gut.
Yeah, no, I mean it's completely fair. I think they do have a chance. I think. I would take Michigan's defense, and I'd almost match them up with any team in college football, I think, and I'd give myself a chance. However, you do have Michigan's offense that isn't the greatest. They get creative in which you find wrinkles of kind of similar to how I was speaking on Kyle Shanahan yesterday, how you see a lot of the same formations, but there's different plays coming out of it. They just want to get a feel for what kind of looks you're going to give them in that formation. I think they have that going for them, but ultimately, Georgia's defense has been stifling all year. That defensive line, those blitzing linebackers, they're dogs, man. I mean, literally, the Georgia Bulldogs. But that's I think truly where we're gonna see who wins. If Michigan can score, I can see their defense, halting Georgia's offense. I mean, Georgia's offense is nothing special at all either. And I think actually Michigan's defense will for sure shut them out. It's just to be a battle of attrition when it comes to Michigan's offense versus that Georgia defense.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Stetson Bennett, who is, I believe he's freshman for Georgia, who or was a walk. Excuse me, not a freshman. He was a walk-on for them, and has kind of stepped up and filled that spot for JT Daniels. JT Daniels was on the COVID protocol list. He did clear that, and he just made his way to Miami. But I'm with you on this. I think it's a defensive matchup. Nakobe Dean for Georgia has been lights out on that side.
Beast.
And it's going to be fun to watch. You're going to get the Hutchinson and Ajabo show on one side, and then you get to watch Dean on the opposing end. So all guys that I expect to go in the first round of the draft. So I look for it to be smash mouth football, but I do think Michigan ultimately has a better offense with Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins.
For sure, and they're just going to show up against that defense. And speaking of defense, get yourself the best defense in the business with Guardian Alarm. It's easy. It's easy. It's an easy phone number. Speaking of easy, I'm your boy Easy telling you to do it. The phone number. You hook yourself up with all the features. You can detect smoke, control your lights, temperatures, even carbon monoxide. They even let you lock and unlock your doors from your phone. It's as easy as calling 1-800
Stay out.
1-800
Stay out.
1-800
Stay out. Get out of my house.
We'll be back.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
Hire a graduate
of Northwestern Tech. Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
You want commercials? The other guys have those. You want great sports takes?
Touchdown! What a play!
Woodward Sports has those. Detroit's new sports outlet, the Woodward Sports Network.
And we are back. This is the bottom line. Leach and Easy.
Are you just too prideful to hit that pitch? It's just get up there, man.
I'm kind of nervous my voice might crack.
Okay.
And then the people that are in the
You
chat
already look like
say,
you're in high school.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
I'm
that
trying to
makes
keep a narrative off my head here right now.
That makes sense. Yeah, Ryan's a grown man. Don't disrespect him.
Yeah. Easy, before we went to break, we were obviously talking about Michigan and Georgia a little bit, and we'll dive into that tomorrow a lot.
Yeah,
with Braylon Edwards. We don't want to touch too much on it with him. We don't want to beat a dead horse here, so we'll definitely save that for Braylon tomorrow. But another team here in Michigan that we got to talk about is Central Michigan is going to the Sun Bowl now, and the Sun Bowl for you has a special place in your heart now.
Special place in my heart, man. The Sun Bowl, as we know, our Uncle Terry Foster, has a phenomenal, legendary story about the Sun Bowl, and I'm so happy to bring it to you. We actually got it clipped up. It's just a briefings of it, but Alex, would you mind?
Been the bowls, man. Those dudes are running scams. I love the guys who were running the Sun Bowl when I went down there for Michigan State, Stanford. They gave us, in the media, they gave us female escorts, and we hung out all night long. We got drunk, we ate, we saw a woman have sex with a donkey. We were able to bring them back to our rooms.
Wow.
I mean, hey, Sun Bowl, #1. I mean, they know how to work the media. They're working a scam down there. And I tell you what else has happened. I'm going to get myself in trouble. That's okay. My person, we went up to the room afterwards. They had these big things at McDonald's in the hotel lobby. So we go back to the room and everything. And I didn't like her perfume. It was too sweet. It was too tangy. It just gave me the heebie-jeebies. So the best piece of advice I ever got was from Drew Sharp. I called him up and said, "So are you having a good time?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Dude, my babe, I don't like her perfume. I can't stand it." He said, "Oh, just take a shower with her." I'm like, "Okay." Eliminated the perfume. She smelled like Lifebuoy soap, but that was better than the crap that she was wearing. This is the best piece of advice that brother ever gave me. We stayed in a crap hotel in downtown El Paso. I don't know if the name was like the Roosevelt or just the hotel. It was awful. But, you know, add the human element and it made it tolerable. One of the writers went to his room and there was sheets full of blood. Somebody had been murdered in his room before he checked in. Ask Pat Caputo. He went to and someone had murdered someone in his bedroom. They gave us escorts. We went to Juarez, which is right across the border. I still remember we left like at 3:30 or 4 in the afternoon to party and eat. We didn't get back to that hotel till like 2:30 a.m. Man, we were drunk, smelly. We had a good old time.
Well, we know one thing: the Sun Bowl's not going anywhere.
No, it's not. And if people try to get rid of it, I'm going to be out there fighting for it. And people ask, did I cover the game? Yes, I still remember the score. Stanford beat Michigan State 30-0.
Oh my goodness, what a story from the legend T. Foster.
I thought I told you to cover your virgin ears, Nick. You weren't supposed to hear none of that. You're not old enough. I'm going to fight everybody that's in the chat right now saying for me to go earmuffs right now. I don't appreciate that, Two Jack To make that story like full circle too is like Terry Foster, the legendary voice of Detroit sports, Central Michigan alum. And now Central Michigan's stepping up to cover the Sun Bowl. Like, what are the odds of that after that story gets released?
Oh my God! I never thought in a million years would I ever hear a story like that. And I like how he acknowledged, like, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this one, and he just owned it. I mean, are you jealous that you don't get to go to the Sun Bowl this year?
So I was actually texting Uncle T last night, and I think we might shoot our shot and see if we can get to the Sun Bowl. Like before, it meant nothing, right? But now that Washington State, Central Michigan stepped up to the plate to fill in. I think Woodward Sports. Alex is getting to go to the Peach Bowl. Why can't me and Uncle T go to the Sun Bowl?
I think our biggest issue is you got to remember, Terry Foster is a veteran. We're kind of both new to this industry still. So
I'm gonna be with Uncle T. I'm bringing Uncle T. He's gonna show me the ropes.
Do you want Uncle T around during a situation like that?
Yes, I want Uncle T around. What? Who else would I want around?
I don't know. That is just, I mean, what a story. And Neil Rule's reaction while watching that is
priceless.
Top notch.
Yes.
Because I don't think he could quite believe what was coming out of his mouth. So the moment that we saw Central to the Sun Bowl, it's almost like Terry talked that into happening.
Listen, it's Stick. If you're watching, Chad, whoever, Adam, send me and Uncle T to the Sun Bowl. I promise you it would be fire content. I'll vlog the entire thing. I'll edit it, post it all over the social media clips. Send us to the Sun Bowl, please. And bail us out if anything else happens, though, please.
Yeah, we're going to have to get, maybe Gypsy Vodka will sponsor your trip down there.
Yo, a Gypsy Vodka sponsored Sun Bowl trip. That sounds like a match made in heaven, honestly.
You just have to come back with a better story than that. That's the only predicament.
Is there a better story? That story included sex and murder. How am I? What? You want me to go down to the Sun Bowl and come back with a story that includes murder?
Oh, yeah, well, maybe if it's a cool story.
Honestly, God, I think I am going to try to make that happen. That'd be kind of lit.
I think you're kind of running out of time here.
On what?
The Sun Bowl.
When is it? Do you guys know when the Sun Bowl is?
I think it's New Year's Eve, maybe?
Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
Friday. We got some time. Stick.
Yeah.
Joey, Adam, Chad.
We need it. No, but obviously, shout out to Central. This is the first year actually all the major Michigan colleges, Western, Central. Western actually beat the crap out of I think
Nevada yesterday at Ford Field.
Yeah,
while we were on air, I think we watched the end of the game.
Yeah, so shout out to Western. Central's in a bowl game. Eastern's in a bowl game. Michigan State. I'm not sure. Alex, do you know was that the first time this has ever happened? Or it's been the first time in quite some time. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but
for what when a team is replaced?
No, with all the Michigan universities going to a bowl game.
No, I wish we had Fish here. He could probably fact check that in instant. I'll text him.
Yeah, we gotta get Flannel Sam in Fish's booth to hit us with the cold hard facts. But no, I mean I know we don't talk a lot of Central and a lot of Western or Eastern too much on
wait, it was Eastern. Yeah, Eastern was in a bowl game too, wasn't it, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Usually, for whatever reason, I think the last couple of years, Easterns wind up in the Bahama Bowls. Yeah. And if I'm a team that, obviously, if you don't make the college football playoff, send me to the Bahama Bowls. That's where I want to spend my time.
That or the Sun Bowl after. Yeah. Hey, well, what's crazy is the reason why Central Michigan is in the Sun Bowl, if everyone doesn't know, it's because Washington, Central Michigan's opponent stepped out of the Arizona Bowl, sponsored by Barstool, and then. Is COVID though is affecting all these bowl games, and it actually came out yesterday that if that situation were to arise during the National College Football Championship, that actually there'd be a winner by forfeit. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, and I think that goes for either of these playoff games this weekend too. Like if something crazy happens over the next few days, which knock on wood, I hope it doesn't. It doesn't surprise me, not one bit. I mean, I know NFL moves games around, but at the end of the day, the NCAA I feel like they're always on a tighter schedule. Like. They have no questions asked. Like, how are you going to ask a team to, get fired up and get prepared for a national championship if, let's say, it gets canceled the day before?
No, yeah, it's kind of BS too. That if you could have teams like Central Michigan step up and replace other teams in the Sun Bowl, why can't you have that situation be the same in the national championship? of all things. Like, come on. And like, what are you doing? Like, I guarantee actually that would be the scenario, because money is the answer to everything. And there's no way they'd pass up on that. Tell their advertisers, oh, sorry, we're not going to host a national championship football game, because this team got COVID. Hell no. It's the same way that you and I are up here and Bill Murray's playing for the Pistons right now. They're going to find a replacement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to happen.
As my dad has always said, there's always a butt to fill a seat. So
yes.
Just always remember that. It'll keep you humble. But speaking of bowl games, I talked about it a little bit. We got the Michigan Orange Bowl pregame show happening here. We've got Braylon Edwards, Stick, and Adam. They'll be hosting that show right here in the studio. So that's going to be live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter from 5:30 to 7:30. Make sure you watch that official pregame. They have a lot of fun with that. You get all the insight, and you really get to enjoy a great show. So be sure to tune in. That's Friday, the day of the game, 5:30 to 7:30 here, Woodward Sports Network.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Woodward Sports. Missed part of the show today? Watch again on YouTube or download the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts.
And we are back.
There it is. That was it. Yeah.
That's what I'm here for, baby. I knew I'd get it right.
The voice in the crack.
Need a little bit of practice, baby. But this is the bottom line with Leach and Easy filling in for our guys, Armani and Edwards. They will be back next week, getting much needed rest during this holiday season. Braylon Edwards will be on the show tomorrow along with Glover Quinn, so we're pretty excited about that show. Easy, before we went to break, we were talking a little bit of bowl games, but I kind of want to bring back the end of the show kind of full circle. So again, we've already talked about the new year. 2021's winding down. I want to do a fun segment with you for, kind of some 2021 awards of what you, and the way these awards will work. We're going to do a Detroit MVP, a Rookie of the Year, your Team of the Year, the funniest moment, your favorite player, and then your favorite play. Ooh. So, Easy, why don't you kick us off, and who would be your most valuable player out of all of the teams that we cover here at Woodward Sports, from Michigan football, basketball, all the college athletics, all the way up through the professional rank?
Most valuable player. I originally wrote down on the sheet Stevie Y, MVP of Detroit Sports right now. But when it comes to player, I don't know, man. I might have to piggyback off of your. Who do you have as your MVP?
So I was caught between Dylan Larkin. Well, not caught between. I think Dylan Larkin and what he's done this year, leading a young Red Wings team, guys like Sider and Raymond that have stepped up, and he's scoring at a pretty good clip himself. It's, he's kind of taken his game to the next level. It's what we're expecting out of him more. I was trying to think of a more someone else that could, be that MVP type for the teams that we've seen this year.
Uh-huh.
No one on the Lions really came to mind. Maybe you talk about a boy, Jack Fox. Big Jack Fox fans here at Woodward Sports, but from a contributing standpoint, I wanted to say AJ Hinch was my pick, but obviously I wanted to do it to players. But I think the one that stands out the most is Dylan Larkin, and Alex can back me on that because we were talking pre-show and he said the same thing as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Larkin, he didn't have a great 2020, well, you can really just call it early 2021 season when he finally got that C on his chest. He didn't really put up the production that we were hoping for out of him, but he was a guy that was an every night guy who was that always on the top line, reliable, especially when a lot of guys around him like Fabry and a slew of players are going down with COVID. He stood tough, and he's still doing the same thing this season. But this season, you're seeing that the production amp up as well. 15 goals, which I believe is towards the top of the league, and definitely towards the top of the team. But as for MVP, I want to give an honorable mention to Jeremy Grant. Obviously the Pistons have done a lot of losing this season, but when they have won, I think it's because of Jeremy Grant. He's having the best time of his career in a Detroit Pistons uniform. Really giving us a good scoring punch when healthy, of course. And when the Pistons are playing good basketball, it's because I think it's mainly because of Jeremy Grant, and obviously another honorable mention goes to Aiden Hutchinson, but I'm a little biased in that retrospect, so I won't make much of a comment on him.
Yeah, because I originally had put down on the sheet, Stevie Y, because obviously what the Red Wings are doing, and all of our Detroit sports are kind of down in the dumps. If I would have put a player, I switched up and put Bertuzzi. I think the attitude of that Red Wings team and their confidence, that it's really like taken, I guess, character with him. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's like a rock star out there every night when he's on fire and when they get going. And you speak of like Dylan Larkin's numbers. I don't think Bertuzzi's too far off. Like, what's this load? Yeah, okay, I got the points right here. 21 points for Bertuzzi. Larkin 29. That's what Bertuzzi missed in a lot of these games in Canada and New York because of the COVID restrictions. Like, I love Tyler Bertuzzi, man. He's a freaking rock star out there on the ice. MVP is tough right now to call in Detroit because not much is valuable.
Yeah, but you got the chat, like a lot of guys in the chat seeing Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker's
in the
one.
Heisman talks. Aiden Hutchinson is definitely up there for me as well. But ultimately, the Red Wings are playing winning hockey right now too. And I get, Michigan football won this year. So I guess you could sit there and I don't think you could be wrong with any of those answers. It's all preference.
I'd have one more honorable mention, and it's just strictly based off of like the word value, and that's Cade Cunningham. Because as soon as we got the number 1 pick, and he was favored to be that number 1 pick, Cade Cunningham, the Detroit Pistons sold, I believe, over $250,000 in tickets. At that point,
I think it was like $400,000. So
yep, and how long were we looking? Yeah, exactly. And how long were we looking at those? I'm not trying to call them ugly because I'm not trying to disrespect LCA, but those red seats are just so bright and noticeable on TV. When they're empty. They're those basketball games. Now. Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving right along here. Your rookie of the year, who do you got?
Lucas Raymond.
Okay. Yep. I think that's a very good consensus for everybody. I think Alex had the same thing in the room too, and it's hard to choose anyone else. I get, Cade Cunningham, that's your coveted draft pick, but Lucas Raymond, 28 points, leads the entire NHL for rookie scoring from that standpoint. And then not too far behind him, you have Trevor Zegras in second, and then you have Mo Sider in third with 21 points. So the rookie boom in Detroit has definitely been happening. Cade Cunningham, what we've seen leadership style out of him, now we just need, obviously, got to get some pieces around him to see those wins translate. But a big part of the Red Wings' success this year has been due to Lucas Raymond's scoring ability. It's something I've talked for a while, is that you have to get like a true goal scorer or a pure goal scorer. And the top line has been what's been carrying this team all year. So Larkin and Raymond, for me, at least this year, have been, I get they've only played half a season. That's why you can make the argument for like Hutchinson, who's played a full year in the 2021 year. But I'm a hockey guy, so I'm going with Raymond there.
No, you got to go Raymond. And when it comes like the term, like the word rookie in the NHL conversations, Lucas Raymond is undisputedly like on the top. You can't say that the same with guys like Penei Sewell and Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham, when you talk about rookie of the year, other guys into the conversation. You start talking about Evan Mobley. You start talking about my man in Toronto. His name slips my mind at the moment. When it comes to NHL, speaking of rookies, like Lucas Raymond is undisputed. Right there at the top of the conversation.
Yeah, and Chad, you got a few diehard Lions fans in there saying Amon-Ra St. Brown, Steady Eddie. Our boy is saying Akil Baddoo is definitely one as well. Team of the year, who do you got?
Team of the year? I mean, again, the Red Wings are the only ones right now playing playoff caliber. Well, not everyone's playing hockey, but the only ones playing, at the playoff caliber. Everyone else is at the bottom of the pack. Tigers probably mid-tier, but that's about it.
So, obviously, I think having it as, like, the Detroit awards kind of maybe threw it off. But I took Michigan football. Winning college football playoff, that was huge. Doing it under Jim Harbaugh, I didn't. That was a talk all year. It was like, can he actually get it done? You came out, dominated Ohio State, and this is coming for a guy that roots for Michigan State ahead of them. And for whatever reason, if Michigan didn't get in that playoff, maybe I would have chosen Michigan State over them just based on how last year went. But undoubtedly, Michigan football is that winner. Tigers were just behind that. Just because of the way they finished off the season. And then third, obviously, talk about the Red Wings as well. So,
yeah, if we're dipping into college, definitely get Michigan in there. That Ohio State game was magical. It was everything romantic that you everything you romanticize about football. You had the snow, you had the underdog, you had defense. It was great, man.
Yeah, just even as a football fan. Like,
yes, yeah, exactly.
It gave it all. But what was your funniest moment? Is there a moment that you really look back on and like?
Terry Foster's Sun Bowl is there.
Yeah,
you know, that's definitely up there. Definitely one of Dan Campbell's moments. He had an interview where he spoke about possibly, asking about bringing an actual lion down on the sideline and holding them on a chain. That's up there. I didn't get to like buffer as much homework as I'd love to, but there's definitely some out there. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I'd probably have to say one of Dan Campbell's many moments. One of the funniest moments. Yeah,
it's hard to not think about it when you're doing a segment like this. And later this week too, on Thursday, I'm going to have it lined up for us where we kind of go through our top 10 moments of Detroit sports through the year. So I'm going to save that for Friday, or for Thursday. But my funniest moment is, again, back to hockey. Lucas Raymond and Mo Sider. Yeah, there was that TikTok trend going around where they were doing like the trust clap where they close their eyes.
They did the same.
And everyone does that at the same time. I look back, one, it was hilarious. Two, but like the context of where it's at now, it's just like, wow. Who knew what was going to happen from that moment on? Yeah. So for me, I look back, I go back and actually watch that video a lot. So
we spoke on like that Michigan beating Ohio State was like kind of magical. That, as much as like a 16-second TikTok can be, was that, especially like you said, like looking at what they are now, it was like, wow, that was kind of a telltale sign that these guys are something special. It was, as much as corny as that may be, is when you consider like a TikTok involved with it, like. That synchronized clap and what they are now, synchronized on the ice too. It's nice.
Got me excited for the next 15 years of Red Wings hockey.
Me too, man.
All right, favorite player this year.
My favorite player. I'm gonna let you go first, man. Again, I didn't. I was on the phone with the mortgage company. I had to get to pick my guys.
All right, this is a guy for me that I never wanted to take for granted here in Detroit, and that's Miguel Cabrera. And I get a lot of people are like, well, he's getting paid $30 million a year. He's not producing to that $30 million clip. The same argument I'll always make time and time again. He got paid strictly on what he did in the past. I think that's a fair thing to say to him. You only got 2 years left of one of the greatest right-handed hitters of all time. He's got 2 years left on his contract, and he's talked about once those 2 years are up, he's done. He's ready for the next thing in his career. So for me, I soaked it in. With his 500th home run this year, I was down at the ballpark for one of those games, and he actually hit foul ball down the right field line that just went foul. But the energy that was in Comerica Park, it took me back to 2011, 2012. I was at the ALCS when they swept the Yankees, and for me, those are memories that I'll always cherish and always it'll be last a lifetime. So I never want to take Miguel Cabrera granted, regardless of what his stats are on the field, because he brought us so many good memories back in the early 2010s.
I appreciate that. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking more like new school. If I wanted to like pick a favorite player, I like Penei Sewell's like nastiness and aggressiveness. Yeah. I love that about him. Dominic is one of my all-time favorite Detroit Lions because he had that in him, and Penei Sewell has that as well.
Well, and you could talk about as one of your favorite moments is him and Aaron Donald getting into it, and that changed a lot for people here. Like they want to protect Sewell now, and that's their guy. He brought the tenacity to the guy that's considered the baddest dude in the NFL. Yeah. So I love that out of him.
That was beautiful. Like I said, I love everything nasty about the defensive and offensive lines. Like I just love it. That grunt work, that grinding, like just taking another man and just physically dominating him in that fashion. Like it's just you're the man. And Penei Sewell's got that in him. He's got that dog, that gorilla.
Shout out
man, Joy could say, yeah.
All right, real quick before we go to a break, favorite play from this year.
Favorite play from this year, Mania Warrior's interception against the Cardinals, and part of that is our boy Gus Johnson with the Warrior. I can't pronounce how he did. He did a couple extra W's in there.
It was an electric call. I loved it, and I watched it. I think 100 times. I went back.
I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. If you had that on downloads, Alex, feel free to pop that in there during break or whatever.
But my favorite play is a game that actually happened in Summer League. Kate Cunningham crossing over Jalen Green behind the back and then hitting the three. Alex has got his hand up.
Miguel Cabrera, 500 home runs. That is by far the best moment of 2021.
No, I
No,
agree.
that's fair.
I agree to that. But for me, again, it's my own personal preference. Is
Fair.
a lot of the talk. Jalen Green was talking all that trash about Detroit as, not a spot he wants to go and be, saying he was the better player in the draft, and then first action you guys ever play against, Cade Cunningham made you look stupid. So for me, that moment stuck out to me the most.
Honorable mention, Red Wings 2021 debut, Bertuzzi, the goal he had between I forget who the defenders were. It was one of the nastiest goals I've seen ever in my life, man.
Yeah.
Honorable mention,
Lightning.
Kenneth Walker, 5 touchdowns against Michigan. Go Green.
Is that too?
I like that. All right, speaking of Bertuzzi, you talk about a guy that really needs a haircut. He needs to come in and see our girls over at Lady Jane's. So they're here from 10 to 8 every single day. So even when you get off work, you can come in, get your haircut. Got our girls like Alyssa doing the thing in there. So Lady Jane's, it makes you almost feel like a sports bar when you're in there. I mean, I've been going to Lady Jane's for ever since I could drive a car, and one of my favorite things was to kind of show up unannounced and then just go. You got you got the comfiest chairs in the world that you can sit in, watch some TV, and watch sports, and then hey, you get called up, get a haircut, and then you're on your way. Nice, affordable. Shout out Lady Jane's. It's wicked awesome.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
And we are back. I had to do it for one last break. Leach, easy. Bottom line, filling in for our guys, Armani and Edwards. You'll get them back next week. Don't worry, they'll be back.
My guys comment. Who the F are these guys? I'm Fraylin, spelled with Lighn. I'm the fake light skinned Braylon.
I think we could get away just saying like you're Braylen's little brother and I'm Armani's little brother.
There you go. Yeah, that works.
We're the little brothers of WSN.
Damn, we're both Michigan State fans, and we're on a Michigan show, and you just called us the little brothers.
Yeah, that's you shouldn't have brought that up. All right, Easy. Something that the Bottom Line does here, especially when Maz is doing all these preps, he likes to have his Bottom Line videos of the day, and I know you dialed up a few of them for us. So what do you got?
I got a couple of them I sent to Alex. I sent 2 of them that I know we're going to make it for sure, and to be honest with you, I don't remember what they were. But the first one, I do actually remember what the first one is. A former Detroit Piston, Christian Wood. He's now with the Houston Rockets. Last night, I don't know I don't know how this happened. I don't know. I've never seen this before. We've seen fans get like thrown on, guys dunking or playing like hard defense. I've never seen anything like this. Alex, can you play Christian Wood's fantastic cross the court pass last night?
Missed the 3, and the Rockets will take the final shot of the half.
Oh,
no, they will not.
Goodness.
No, they won't.
Oh, no.
Look out. That ball just hit a fan
Lots of luggage
in the
there.
3rd row. A woman hit her, I think it hit her right in the face.
Yes, in the face!
Missed the 3, and the Rockets will take the final shot of the half.
Oh,
no, they will
my
not.
goodness.
No, they won't.
Oh, no.
Look out. That ball just hit a fan.
Oh, my God. That video will never get old.
Bro, she got decked, son. I almost want to go back and make like a I don't play a lot of video games, but Call of Duty, like whatever noise they make when someone gets sniped. Yeah, something like that. That lady got absolutely smoked.
Oh my! The best part about this too is that it's not like she's sitting down. Like she is walking, trying to get back to her seat. Like the odds of her of this happening, I get. Yeah, it's 1 in 1 because it happened. But boom! That is. Well, and then
she fell down and everything.
I would have acted like my neck was broken or something.
My neck, my back, my neck and my back.
You play one more time, Alex. I'm sorry.
Easy can't get enough of it. I always go back to Mike Tyson. My back is broke.
Spinal.
Well, and then shout out to
she fell down.
Shout out to Corey Woods, our WSN Lions beat reporter, throwing the Eddie Murphy bit on the end there. Just made the video that much more funnier.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. The next one, right here in Detroit, it's gone viral. Detroit's urban survival training. the name escapes me of the reigning king of this dojo, but you see him all over social media. He's wearing the black vest. He has guns to his head. He's fought off multiple attackers. He shows you how to do it all. Doesn't matter how that doesn't work. You know, he's telling you it does. And he's right here off in Ferndale, actually. But yesterday, another guy from MMA Twitter, took a visit down there. I've been wanting to do this too. We should definitely go. I'll bring a couple guys from the gym. But he wanted to test out these tactics, and here's how it went.
So if they try to back up, wait. So if they try to back up, wait.
He's like, okay, wait, you can't do that. I'm just gonna try. Pow, pow. This got him again, bro.
The best part is you can hear like the gunshots going off.
He's like, well, you can try it back up, but and he's like, Vincent is gonna try and trick him.
He missed it every single time. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was the best, man.
You know that guy has to be pissed. This guy's ruining his whole bit. I like how he's trying to grab him too and almost tackle him.
Yeah, well, the best part is like he's telling him to stop backing up, but he stops mid sentence and try to attack him again. After you play it again real quick, I'll just make sure I'm correct on that because he's like, well, you can't back, and he tries to fucking timestamp that.
So if they try to back up, wait.
See, yeah, see, he's trying to distract him by talking.
I was like, if they try to back up, you just pull it away.
Man, that's awesome, man.
Oh my God, I'm glad you didn't show me that before the show started. That made it that much better. Something that we talked about, and we brought this up at the beginning of the show yesterday, and something I talked about the clothing game. So you stepped it up today. Although a lot of people in this chat might call you out because that is a Detroit number 25 jersey, but it doesn't say McCarty on the back of it.
No, it says easy. It's easy, baby. And you guys can't give me flag. I wore this to the Red Wing game with Darren McCarty, and it's verified after that. And it's the old school one. Like here's the thing. Here's the thing with jerseys, and it's a rule. And ever since I heard it, it just kind of stuck with me, and I have to like live by this now. You can't wear a jersey with another man's name on the back of it. It's if you're a grown man, especially too, like now that we're like 28, like we're older now, like, and like I'll never forget like realizing like how much like richer these kids are, like 19 years old and they're signing these contracts and like $1 million like children. Like I can't.
Well, just so you know, the organization that owns the logo that's on the front is even richer than the player on the back.
That's sure. That's an organization. It's a business, right? Like I support that organization, and I do support Dan McCarty. But like to have like another man's name on the back of your jersey, it just it goes against my rules.
I'm just
man.
gonna let you know.
I'm not paying my bills.
Braylon might knock you off the show now. He was in here wearing a Dylan Larkin jersey a couple weeks ago. So
for sure, but Braylon's already like alpha. You know what I'm saying? Like he's already.
Are you saying because other people wear his jersey, he has that?
Yeah.
He has that pass.
Yeah, he's got that pass.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. Alex actually wears a lot of jerseys, and
well, I mean, look at Alex.
What do you mean, look at Alex?
I'm trying to get you to flip the camera to yourself.
No, but we gotta. I mean, I feel like I brought the heat today. A little Motown shirt.
If people don't know too,
today.
Nick's nickname is a Motown commish.
Yeah.
So it's very fitting.
So I mean, I don't know if anyone out there has ever watched it, but the Motown documentary, that highlights how Motown got started right here in Detroit, over at Hitsville. Barry Gordy directed the whole thing. I actually watched it. I've seen parts and pieces in the past, but I never actually watched the whole thing. But it was unbelievable, the amount of talent that was here in Detroit, or at least came to Detroit. I mean, you had guys like Marvin Gaye. You had the Supremes and Diana Ross. Michael Jackson was here at one point. You had Neil Young. Like, it is crazy the amount of talent that was here. And under, like, I get it's a record label, but it's something that you'll never see ever again. So if you haven't watched it, honestly do it. They talk about, that studio getting started here in Detroit. What Barry Gordy, he grew up here in Detroit. He grew up selling newspaper in a time where racism was very predominant. He'd go to the white neighborhoods, and he figured out that you could sell double the amounts of paper of the black people paper, as what he called in the documentary. So he was a businessman from the time he was like 8 or 9 years old, and he worked at the Ford plant downtown on the assembly line, and that's how he kind of drew up all the plans to get Motown Records on the map. It is extremely fascinating to watch. It's almost given me like a drive, to bring Woodward to the next level and really make this thing happen. It's truly inspiring being someone that grew up and was raised in Detroit.
I feel that. I felt that when you discussed this to me, like the first time we were in the office, like right after you watched it, and that is kind of what this is. Like, that's what we're building here at Woodward Sports, and that's why, like, honestly, like, what every like that you press like on this videos, like no matter like where you're watching, like it truly means something, because we're building from the ground up. You know what I'm saying? And we're all here local. Like, this can be that again, but for sports. We don't have to sit there and watch our teams. There's another video we could play tomorrow where our Detroit Lions get mocked and joked about on TV. Only we can make fun of our own. You know what I'm saying? And another thing I want to say though about you bringing that stuff up and watching that, can we get that login? Can I get that login?
Well, Showtime. I actually did the free trial, so you can do a free 7-day trial for Showtime.
Let me get your free 7-day trial.
Oh, I'm already paying for it now, accidentally, because I forgot to cancel it. But this has been The Bottom Line with Leach and Easy. We've had a lot of fun with you guys today. We'll be back tomorrow. Braylon Edwards on the show. Glover Quinn. Should be a lot of fun. Something different for us. We'll mix it up. Going to talk a lot of Michigan football and that bowl game tomorrow. So get ready for that. We will see you tomorrow.